Have you ever wondered what is fueling the rise of Captain Ibrahim Traoré? Below are 7 detailed reasons why Captain Ibrahim Traoré is rising. Burkina Faso is poised to rise under the leadership of Traoré. Here is why. Reason number 1. Restoring national security and reclaiming territory. Since seizing power in 2022, Traoré made national security his top priority. Burkina Faso has faced a worsening insurgency for over a decade, with large swaths of territory under jihadist control. Burkina Faso is plagued by insurgent and terrorist groups primarily linked to Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State, including Jamaat Nasr al-Islam wal-Muslimin and the Islamic State in the Greater Sahara, both of which aim to impose strict Islamist rule and exploit local grievances. These groups operate mainly in the north and east of the country, conducting attacks on civilians, security forces, and infrastructure. Additionally, local self-defense militias and ethnic-based armed groups have emerged, sometimes escalating intercommunal violence and complicating the security landscape. Traoré restructured military operations, empowered local defense groups, volunteers for the defense of the homeland, and increased defense spending. His administration trained and deployed thousands of fighters to reclaim territory. By mid-2023, more than 192,000 internally displaced persons returned home, a direct result of improved security. His government successfully recaptured dozens of towns from terrorist groups. The public views him as a warrior president, a protector of the homeland. His military background gives him credibility in this domain, and his quick, visible results have boosted confidence across the country. Reason number 2, standing firm against neo-colonialism and foreign dominance. Traoré's rise is heavily fueled by his anti-imperialist and Pan-Africanist rhetoric. He has unapologetically confronted the legacy of colonialism, calling out French influence in West Africa. Traoré expelled French troops and ended military agreements with France, moves that many citizens saw as a reclaiming of national dignity. Many in Burkina Faso harbor resentment toward France due to its colonial legacy and continued influence in the country's politics and economy, which many see as neo-colonialism. French military presence, especially under counter-terrorism operations like Operation Barkhane, was criticized for failing to stop jihadist violence, leading to widespread distrust and protests. This sentiment intensified following Burkina Faso's coups in 2022 and 2023, prompting the transitional government to expel French troops and diplomats and seek new alliances, particularly with Russia. This bold posture has made him a symbol of sovereignty not just in Burkina Faso, but across Africa. His speeches frequently reference past African revolutionaries like Thomas Sankara, drawing ideological continuity. Young people across the continent, tired of foreign meddling and economic dependence, see Traoré as a new generation leader who is unafraid to challenge the status quo. Reason number 3. Economic reforms centered on self-sufficiency. Traoré has pushed back against the economic models pushed by international lenders. He rejected loans from the IMF and World Bank, saying that Burkina Faso and Africa more broadly should stop depending on foreign aid. Why was the IMF and World Bank bad for Burkina Faso? Burkina Faso harbors resentment toward the IMF and World Bank due to the structural adjustment programs of the 1980s and 1990s, which often led to austerity, cuts in public services, and increased poverty. Burkina Faso argues that these institutions impose policies that prioritize debt repayment and market liberalization over social development and sovereignty. Instead, he focused on internal resource management. Paid off domestic debts to revive local businesses, raised civil servants' wages by 50%, cut ministers' and members of parliament salaries by 30%, reallocated national funds toward productive sectors like agriculture and mining. These actions have restored public trust. Instead of austerity, Traoré is modeling fiscal justice and productive investment, particularly in neglected sectors that support the majority poor. Reason number 4, agricultural development and food sovereignty. Traoré recognizes agriculture as the foundation of both security and development. His administration has prioritized mechanizing farming, distributing over 400 tractors, irrigation kits, and inputs to rural farmers. As a result, staple crop production increased significantly. For example, millet production rose from 907,000 tons in 2022 to 1.1 million tons in 2024. Tomato production went from 315,000 to 360,000 tons in the same period. These improvements not only bolster food security, but also create economic resilience. Empowering farmers gives people dignity, boosts local economies, and reduces the country's reliance on food imports. It also shows that Traoré is building from the ground up, literally. Reason number 5. Resource nationalism and industrialization. One of Traoré's most strategic moves was launching Burkina Faso's first national gold refinery and banning the export of unprocessed gold. Burkina Faso stands as Africa's 4th largest gold producer, with 2024 production reaching 60 tons, despite facing challenges from security issues and political instability. The nation boasts over 600 tons of proven gold reserves and more than 1,000 tons of estimated resources, primarily located within the Birimian greenstone belts that span approximately 22% of its territory. To harness this potential, the government has initiated reforms such as nationalizing select mines, constructing a gold refinery in Ouagadougou, and suspending artisanal gold exports to enhance domestic processing and revenue generation. This was a major step in asserting control over the country's most valuable resource. For decades, gold mining was dominated by foreign corporations, with profits rarely staying in the country. Now, by refining domestically, Traoré ensures that value is added within Burkina Faso. This supports jobs, increases state revenue, and combats illegal gold trafficking. It also signals a broader vision: economic independence through resource sovereignty, one of the most crucial paths to ending dependency and foreign manipulation. Reason number 6, youthful, charismatic, and revolutionary image. At just 34 years old, Traoré is Africa's youngest head of state. His youth works to his advantage. He's energetic, relatable, and speaks in a language that resonates with Burkina Faso's majority young population. He dresses simply, avoids flamboyance, and often echoes revolutionary icons like Sankara and Gaddafi. He positions himself as a soldier of the people, someone who rose from the ranks, not the elite. This authenticity has become part of his brand. He isn't just a political leader, he's a movement figure. His humility and decisiveness have gained him trust, while his anti-corruption stance and lifestyle choices contrast sharply with traditional elites. Reason number 7, cultural reclamation and institutional decolonization. In a powerful symbolic move, Traoré banned colonial-style legal attire, like wigs and gowns, from the judiciary, replacing them with traditional Burkinabé dress. This was more than a fashion decision. It was a clear rejection of colonial legacies still embedded in national institutions. He has emphasized education reform, promoted local languages, and celebrated indigenous culture. These steps build a collective sense of identity and pride, especially among youth seeking meaning beyond imported systems. By decolonizing institutions, he's restoring cultural dignity, challenging Eurocentric norms, and laying the foundation for a truly African model of governance and justice.